Nigeria.
Welcome to Joy Asanye Live this beautiful evening. Now, the presidency, in fact, law enforcement agencies have gone ahead to arrest some members of the protest, or rather some protesters who have been brandishing the Russian flag during the protest. This, as a matter of fact, is giving shivers to several quarters, especially because the Russian flag have been featured in rallies in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and their appearance in the Nigeria scene is quite worrying. What is the enormity of brandishing or hoisting another country's flag in a country such as Nigeria? That is what we'll be discussing here on Joy Asanye Live, and I welcome you and hope that you would also get to contribute, as later in the show we would give you an opportunity to contribute to this very important issue. Is this something to worry about? In fact, the president turned the FAC meeting into a security chiefs meeting and ordered rather everyone to ensure that everybody is brought to book. Those people who were arrested, are they really those behind it all? We'll get into that conversation after a bit. We'll go for a short break. When we return, we'll get into the conversation as my guest is already seated. Welcome back. We have Dr. Steve Okwori, our very own security and crimes management expert, right here in the studio. Thank you so much for coming. You're looking very doctorish. If that's even a word.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you join us. But I think this conversation should start with the protest. I remember several security experts, such as yourself, discouraging protesters or those who were planning this protest not to go to the streets, envisaging exactly what happened, looting, killings and violence and riotous activities and all of that. So how do you feel that you were right? You had said let your demands be taken to address in other ways other than the protest.
You see, a protest, of course, you agree with me that is enshrined in our constitution. Nigerians can express their grievances through protests. And of course, you expect this kind of protests or grievances expressed by Nigerians when some policies of government are inconsistent with the citizens' needs, you know. We saw the removal of fuel subsidy, which is, of course, the people that went to protest, and some other Nigerians that didn't even come out at all. It's clearly shown that it's not in tandem with the current situation that Nigerians are going through. The outright removal of subsidy, you saw that the petroleum products skyrocketed.
The very moment that announcement was made, I bought fuel at 500 and did not believe this was going on.
And unfortunately, we are buying fuel now in our fuel stations at the rate of 950 naira.
Yes.
In Abuja here.
I got for 900 a couple of days ago.
Okay, and you don't expect the price of gari or the price of yam to remain.
Of course.
Of course, so it will, of course, also skyrocket. And if you ask me, protest is normal, but when it degenerates into something else, like what they fear we've been exhibiting,
right.
you know, what we saw in the last couple of days started initially as protest, but some hours later, now degenerated into what I'll call a riot. If we look at it that way, then it became a spree of looting and destruction of private and public properties. Now, if people are coming out to protest against certain policies of government, okay, the government seems to be doing what is wrong in that one
term, right?
as protesters or coming out to protest, we shouldn't be seen to be doing what is also wrong. Because stealing, looting, destruction of private and public properties, they are completely wrong.
But it's only natural. I'm telling you, I'm hungry. It's only natural that you will see hungry people out there.
Yes.
It's a dangerous combination, really.
So now, we have a lot of stories, incidents or experiences to learn from the 2020.
Previous, exactly.
So I think at each point in our development, we should have things that we should learn from our history, our experiences and the current realities that we're staring us at the face. I think the protesters, they missed it. What I mean missed it is that we saw a leaderless group of people. There was no
face to it.
Now the president, during his broadcast, was asking for a dialogue. Who are the people that will go and meet the president?
Were you not surprised that the demands were all over the place? Everybody had a personal demand.
Yes.
So it wasn't a structured, concise, precise demand to say, this is what it is that we want you to change.
Exactly.
The only thing that resonated with everybody there was hunger
in the land.
Hunger is in the land.
That's all. And that's the reason why, for me, the protest did not go the way it ought to have gone. We have led protests here in Nigeria, especially or precisely in the FCT. And the way I did my protest, I had over 500 persons that I led. I was the leader, And
when the time for a conversation came,
yes,
you were out there to give...
I wrote officially to the police, that I want to embark on a protest. They asked me from one point to another point. I said from Unity Fountain to the first gate of the National Assembly. It was clear in my letter to the police, And the police now said, okay, the police in Maitama, because the Unity Fountain is under Maitama Division, the police in Maitama provided cover, front and back, where we took just one side of the road. We didn't obstruct movement of people that were going about their lawful businesses,
right.
That is how a protest is supposed to be, So when we got to around the Federal Secretariat, this point in time, we were under the National Assembly Police Division. The Maitama Division now handed us over to the National Assembly
Division.
Police Division.
And there took over.
Took over from there to the first gate. And when we were approaching the first gate, some protesters had already gone ahead of the first gate. And the DPO had to draw my attention. As a leader, he came and met me and said, your people have gone beyond the point.
Right.
And I rushed,
called
them back. I said, this is where we are stopping. You understand? That is how a protest is supposed to be. There was no need to tear gas anybody because we behaved ourselves. And I think we achieved what we want to achieve then. So we expect something like that. Right. There's nothing wrong with writing to the police.
However, I'm happy you're saying that there was such a time the police acted very civil, with civility towards protest. But if you hear some reports that we got from this protest, you hear people say we were just peacefully standing there when tear gas was released at us. Somebody even said in a moving vehicle, the canister got in there and all that. A moving car that is not necessarily protesting.
Yes.
So would you say, in retrospect, the police conducted themselves properly during this, or because of that, the antecedent and the anticipation of violence, they went overboard?
I think when you look at the protests and the way the police handled the situation, you see that at some point it was very different. Like I want to also go in line with you with where you see people protesting peacefully, and you see the police now tear gassing them. There was no need for the police to do that. You understand? And I think there's some deficiencies in the police. I feel that there are certain trainings that the police don't have, like trainings as responders to handle
and riot control or protest control.
Exactly.
In this
regard. Because I think they are missing that, because the moment they get that information that there's going to be a protest and other, they begin to deploy people that don't even have the training to handle.
Shouldn't they all have the training? Because anybody can be called upon. And it seems like there is this you against the people kind of approach when the police come or to set such and I remember way before this happened, the kind of narrative, the kind of explanations that came from the police were ones that if you weren't even planning violence, you would start thinking it. They kept saying, oh, there's going to be violence, it's going to be, and all that. And I do agree that it would have been better to have a face leading this. However, it's organic. It seems like everybody just moved out to say, you know what, I'm hungry too.
Yes. Just do it, you know. And we saw the way they looted in Kano, and I didn't see the presence of the police. You know, I saw videos of how they were destroying the NCC digital center. You know, how long would it have taken the police to be there? You know, I didn't see they succeeded in getting into the place.
But in the police defense, unlike Abuja and Lagos, I think, that seem to have designated, I think there was a designated place for protests. And in fact, those who were tear gas and all were protesting beyond those places. Unlike Abuja and others, and Lagos, other states just, there was no designated place. And so it would be difficult. I can only imagine that it would be difficult for the police to be everywhere all the time.
No, that's not an excuse. You see, we have critical government infrastructure, you know, and it's not for the job of the police alone. We also have the civil defense. The core mandate of the civil defense is to see how to protect key government infrastructure.
Facilities,
The NCC building there in Kano is a key government infrastructure that we expect that there should be presence of security agents. I didn't even see the civil defense, you know. So a whole lot is happening, and I think when these things happen, we're expected as a country, as a government, as law enforcement agents and agencies, to begin to see how to learn from the mistakes, you know. Certain gaps were let loose, you know, because I expect that the police or the civil defense would have responded swiftly in the NCC building attack, you know, but we didn't see all that. And the looters succeeded in cutting away with a whole lot of things.
I saw videos.
Over 150 computers.
Exactly.
You know?
I saw videos of even the window seal was, I could not for the life of me understand
the police,
what you need.
I think the civil defense and the police, they
failed in that aspect.
They failed. They were not proactive there, you know. And tear gassing people that were just gathering and all that is not a sign of being proactive, you know, because they were already reacting when there was no action for them to react, you know. So a whole lot is happening, and or a whole lot happened, and I think that going forward.
But let's look at the flip side of this. I have been asked, or rather, the police has given you the approval to protest in Moshood Abiola Stadium. What would you expect the police to do in cases where there are people moving towards some of the areas like this secretariat where it was a no-go area for protesters? What would you have said this police should do, which would be civil, which would be seen as police acting well? Now,
just the way I said in my opening remarks, we cannot begin to complain about what the government is doing wrongly and become as protesters and want to also do what is wrong. There was a court order or judgment, I don't know, that said that they should protest in the MKO Abiola Stadium. What's wrong with doing that? It's just for you to comply, obey. So why do you want to begin to go beyond the MKO Abiola Stadium to find your way into the city center where opportunities will now come for people, hoodlums can now begin to see how to invade such group.
And critical infrastructures.
Exactly. You know, so I'm pretty sure that the police would have done a lot to see that they stopped them from marching into the city center. And of course, when you want to begin to overpower such force, they will rather start bringing up something that will see how to push you back.
Exactly.
And the use of tear gas, for me, it is not out of place. It's not abnormal, you know. It is not abnormal. It's for you to see how to stop. And the best you could do at that particular point in time is to see that to stop them by using the tear gas.
Exactly.
I know they have a water cannon and all that, which was another means of dispersing protesters
like
or
that.
crowd, but that one wasn't used. You know, if they had stopped the protest, just remain within the MK Abiola Stadium, I don't
probably
think,
will not record or report
because
some of these
it is just
instances.
them that will be inside, you know, and the law enforcement would have been outside the gate, and perhaps
ensuring-
some would have been inside
Exactly.
in the event where hoodlums or that statement or comments that the protesters made that government also sponsored some other groups against against them and all that. So the police and the other law enforcement agents would have provided security, you know, for them and to ensure that there was law and order, you know. But having said that, they went beyond where they asked them to remain, and the repercussion was what they got from the police.
Well, we'll go for a short break. When we return, we'll get to the crux of the matter. Nigerians brandishing Russian flags in the country. We'll be right back to get more into that story.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in abject 5% are young people. We propose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on Kaftan TV News at 7.
What we found that the 10 naira not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. You join us again at 9
Kaftan
p.m.
TV
Time.
News. While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in abject 5% are young people. We propose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on Kaftan TV News at 7.
What we found that the 10 naira not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. You join us again at 9
Kaftan
p.m.
TV
Time.
News.
Welcome back from that. Dr. Steve Okwori, our crime and security and crime management expert, is right here in the studio, and we're getting into the issue on ground. Nigerians brandishing a foreign flag in the country. That is something that is causing ripples across the country. However, what is indeed the implication of it all? Our security expert will tell us. How did you feel when you first heard about or saw the Russian flag, especially remembering the sub-Saharan trend of the romance between Russia and some countries, our neighbors, who have allowed military takeover or juntas in their country? And how do you think the president felt when he heard that?
You see, when I first saw it, I started wondering what must have prompted it or motivated Russian flag out of all the nations that we have in this world. Why Russian flag? That was the first question that came to my mind, and I further probed and saw that it's a treasonable offense, you know, brandishing another nation's or country's flag
in a sovereign state such as ours.
Exactly, you know, and during a protest, meaning that the protesters that had the Russian flag were already paying allegiance to another country. That's what it means, you know. Because why would you carry another country's flag when you are carrying out a national protest, for instance? It speaks a lot of message. And I want to commend, because when I saw it, I said the law enforcement agent must see that they investigated and get to know how this happened, or how it came to why it happened. And I want to commend the law enforcement agents or the agencies for they swung into action, and they were able to arrest the tailor that was making.
Is that necessarily a good thing?
Yes, it's a good thing. Yes,
because for some of us, we feel like the tailor.
Yes.
Why arrest him? Why don't? Because
somebody contracted him.
Somebody contracted him.
Yes. So,
and he's still within his right to put 2-3 colors together. However, he was displayed like some criminal, and I didn't like that, because I thought we should get to that point where you investigate, you ask questions. He's not a criminal. I'm sure he doesn't even know the implications and the enormity of sewing those 3 colors together.
At that point, he's a suspect. You won't take that away, because somebody contracted him to make numerous numbers of that flag. You know, so he's an alleged suspect at that point in the course of investigation. That's the essence of investigation. But when the law enforcement, if they were the ones that brought him public to the public space for other Nigerians to see that he was actually the tailor that made those numbers, it gives room for the sponsors or people that contracted him to even see that, okay, he has been picked up, for them to even escape or flee from wherever they will be able to find them, you know. So I think if it was the law enforcement agents or agency that brought him out like that, it was wrong. You know, it wasn't time or ripe enough for them to begin to expose him. You know, because
his pictures were like he was a criminal. He stood in front of his small machine.
Should be done in a clandestine way.
Exactly.
You know, where people don't even know that you're even carrying out an investigation. So I think at that point they missed it. If they were the ones that actually brought him out, you know. But going forward, the only way they can get to the sponsors or whoever that contracted him is to arrest the tailor, you know, because somebody must have given him the job.
Somebody did.
Yes, somebody did.
Over 40 people were also arrested who were allegedly carrying this flag.
Those ones that were carrying the flags, it's very possible that they are ignorant of what they are doing. You know, of course, you know that enlightenment, education is lacking up north.
Okay, doctor, we have a call. Let's pick this call and see what this person has to contribute. Hello there. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Can you kindly turn down your TV set so we can have a seamless conversation? Are you there? Hello. Okay. We lost that call. I hope that you call again so we can have. But before you do call, kindly turn down your TV set or device you're listening to us from, so that we don't have those interference. It doesn't make for a good conversation. And when you call, remember to tell us your name and where you're calling from before giving us your comments. Doctor, if you can pick your thoughts back.
So I said the other one.
Apologies. Yes, there's yet another caller. Hello there. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
I'm calling from Osun State.
Oh, fantastic. What's your name and what's your contribution? Okay.
My name is Waso. My name is Waso.
Please go ahead.
It's very unfortunate that people are just being protesters. But this protest is we saw this coming that we don't like even that the process is not good in this country because it is like that. We saw it coming. And we all know the repercussion. So the question is this. Personally, I don't agree with it, though it's not good. But we saw it coming. Why is government not trying to segregate that process? Because their demands are well known. They told the government, and you all aware that, okay, these are their demands. We have made the demands also to us. Before I remember somebody, I was watching one program here over the television. I could not remember. They said, okay, even before the protest, it's the right of the government to call these people to order and to do what they want. We all are aware that if they protest, fine, constitutionally it's okay to protest, but it can be like that.
Exactly.
It's not for the country.
Exactly.
The government will have advantage, but we allow it to happen.
Exactly.
So, it's very unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate. Thank you so much for your contribution. Before we get back to the conversation, I think we'll just speak to somebody else that's trying to reach us. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Delta State and my name is Idris.
Your name is Idris?
Julius.
Julius, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Yes. What I'm trying to contribute here is that because of the way the government or the president handled the whole of the issue that leads to what happened. Because he needs to address the people on ground in time. But he didn't come on board in time. And again, the contribution is not meaningful to the whole society. So for that reason, what happens come on board? Because everyone was really worried for the price of things and how the situation of things are going. So but to get to a situation whereby it looks like it is only the military, police, these are the only people coming on the TV to scare people, to talk to people. When we are expecting the governor, the president to come up to address people, they are not here. So this is the problem that happens. Okay. So you shouldn't blame anyone that carries flag or one thing or the other. The problem comes from the government.
Thank you, Julius. You should be very weary if another person's country's flag is being brandished in your country. You should be weary. Thank you so much for calling, Julius.
God bless. Thank you.
Well, we're hearing Julius here just seem to justify it. We are hungry. It doesn't matter what flag we carry. We're trying to get attention. But like I said before, the calls came in, 40 people were arrested. Allegedly, some of them minors who were carrying those flags. How do you think we can get to the bottom of this? Those people, I do not believe, know the enormity of it.
They don't know. They were ignorant. They didn't know what they were doing. I think the first thing that the law enforcement will do is to see how to profile them. Just to profile them, because of profiling them, you fish out from this very number.
There might be a long chain, but I'm sure there's somebody at the top.
Exactly. You know, process of investigation, you start by, first of all, questioning, interviewing, then you get to the point of interrogation. At the point of interrogation, it means that you have clearly established the ones that were actually involved in
that. But what would anybody stand to gain? Because in some states, also in the Northeast, we also saw videos where they were screaming for military come take over,
Exactly,
come take over.
Yes, you expect such a statement or expression from people that are protesting, you know. Those of them that are saying military should come take over, they don't know the...
Do they know they will not be able to say democracy come back if military takes over?
Exactly. So ignorance played a very key role there. And lack of education. They are not educated, you know. And that is...
But an educated person must have sponsored this.
Absolutely. You know, and that is where the law enforcement agency needs to get to the point, the root of who the sponsors are.
Okay, Doc, we have yet another caller. Hello there. Good evening.
Yes. This is Victor calling from Port Harcourt.
Victor, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, the hosting of the Russian flag as my own contribution. You know, we should not forget what the Russian government has been able to do in the area of combating insurgency in Niger Republic. And you know, the northern states, you know, have affiliation with these areas. And that has actually boosted their confidence. You know, you see, the hosting of these flags, I know it's an act of
treason, really.
Treason, yeah. But we should also look at it from another aspect of it. That they are doing this. They've seen how insurgency has been abated in these areas, and that has actually boosted their confidence. So we are looking at a situation where there's failure of government in our own area, in Nigeria. So, and that has given room for hosting the flag of Russia. So we must thank the Nigerian police for ensuring that the culprits are brought to book, but we should also look at it from another angle. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Like he said, there is another angle to it. If we have insecurity issues in the country, and these people have been able to mitigate insecurity in our neighboring countries, maybe we should call on Russia to come take over. But it has a flip side to the coin. Russia's romance with Burkina Faso, Niger, and all of that, with the military takeover as well.
Yeah.
So how do you balance this?
I think what the Russian government is doing is around the West African sub-region. I think is intentional. You know, they are trying to see how to get at the U.S. You know, there's this serious rivalry between U.S. and Russia. You know, don't forget that the military junta of Niger and these other countries had to see, they saw that they exited the U.S. You know, the U.S. had a military base in Niger. And
then they insisted.
They insisted that they must they moved and all that. So, and Russia just jumping in and all that, trying to come with some incentives to these countries. I think it's a deliberate thing. They are trying to say how to get to the US.
Politics, that's politics 101.
Exactly. You know, so let us say here, because a lot of people are watching us and they are hearing us, the Russian embassy here in Nigeria
quickly denounced it.
Exactly. They came out and said the Russian government does not have a hand or anything to do with the protest, you know. But investigation that is being carried out by our law enforcement agencies, they must have some information to give to Nigerians at the end of their investigation.
Exactly.
You know, so that we will know that as a sovereign state, we are equal to the tax when we see certain things trying to come in. You know, is there a connivance? Is there a conspiracy theory somewhere that we need to know? It is the law enforcement agents that will do all that in the course of their investigation.
Well, it's also very unfortunate that you would ever see people who enjoy sovereignty, you know, call on another country. I didn't think Nigeria would be part of it. But then again, the 8th most populated people with poverty is Nigeria, in spite of FARC allocation. So my question now is, do you think this protest was misdirected? Everything was moving to the federal government, the center, how Tinubu should do better. But Tinubu has, in the difference of fuel subsidy, allocated or increased allocation to states. So what would be your take on the issue of, you know, making it all federal, the federal government? But before you answer that, let's quickly respond to this call. Hello there, good evening. Hello, good evening. Yes, this is Kaftan TV, where we are having a conversation around the Russian flag being hoisted. What's your contribution? Can you turn down?
I'm calling from Zaria.
Right. Can you turn down your device so we can have this conversation properly, or move away from it?
I'll do that.
Okay.
I have called to see supporting in the social media concerning this topic you're talking about. That's the hoisting of the Russian flag. In fact, one person came out to say the reason they are waving the flag is to sort for reaction from the government.
That was a dangerous one.
The demand they put forward for the protest has not been met, especially with the speech by the president. So they said, let's do something that will bring out their reaction. And that's why the waving of the Russian flag.
Okay.
And it seems they have achieved their objectives.
In prison, they have been jailed for treason.
Okay.
Well, they've been arrested, rather. They haven't been convicted. I think conviction is happening.
They are prosecuting them.
Yes.
Okay,
That's just what I look at and said, let me see what is.
Thank you. Right. So what do you think? This was to get attention.
Yeah, you know, it was even in the news that some of the persons that carried the flag were Shiite members.
Okay,
you know,
that makes it another interesting twist.
Exactly. So I think that the people that carry the flag, a lot of them don't know the implication.
Okay, let's hear from this person. Hello there, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Abuja. My name is Muhammad.
Muhammad, go ahead.
See, I just sit and the analyzer. There's one thing about we, the Indians, we love deceiving ourselves.
Deceiving ourselves.
We are seeing what is going on in the UK now. Did you see any of the protesters putting on another country flag there?
Of course not.
We copy people, but we don't want to put the good things from them. So those people that are saying what those guys did now, they are keys. They themselves, they are not involved. Those guys now are the ones in now. We all know the rules and regulations of this country.
Yes.
Like those people that are protesting, nobody saying we shouldn't protest. Was he giving us a positive answer now? Absolutely not. Look at 5 years old baby, 5 years old girls, 5 years old boy, sending protest. Where is this allowed forward? As a good parent, how can I allow my son or daughter to be part of that kind of protest at that age?
Of course not.
The problem in this country that we don't say the truth. Setting another country flag is a criminal act. Now they are turning to the political party flag, whatever. Nigeria, we know how to twist it. That is where we are now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Highest numbers of churches in the whole world, highest numbers of mosques in the whole world, but now we are seeing this because we lack.
Right. I hope we stop deceiving ourselves. Okay, hello there. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. What's your name?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, kindly turn down your device. Your name is?
Yes, we have turned it down.
Okay, what's your name?
My contribution is that the little children that we are caught with a flag.
Yes, go ahead.
So the government should please release them because their parents now will not be have rest of mind. So that's what cause another problem to the family.
True.
So and this cannot bring solution to our problem. So the best way is that to release the kids, let them go because they are ignorant of what they are doing.
Thank you for that. Okay, you wanted to
Yeah. You see,
but before we go ahead, I must mention here that the CDS had mentioned that nobody arrested was a minor. Nobody arrested was a minor, although we saw videos of minors holding the flag.
Right, yeah.
Nobody arrested was a minor, according to the law enforcement. So yeah,
I think they must have profiled all of them and harnessed or harvested the ones that they feel have information to give out. You know,
except they are midgets. Remember when during the INEC registration, one of the justification for allowing minors is I don't know how old they are. Exactly. Toddlers who are toddlers could be midgets. So you had something to say about?
Yeah, you see, somebody said something. One of the callers that this protest wouldn't have. So I think the guy from Delta also.
Right.
If for me, I advised that one of the strategies I expected from the presidency was for the president to make his speech that broadcast before the 1st of August that the protest started. You see, it's not a weakness on the part of the president to make such a broadcast. But perhaps it's the people around him would have said, no, if you do that,
you give too much attention to the...
He is a servant. He's a president, yes, but he's a servant
of the
He's
people.
been elected to come and serve.
And if the office of the citizens want him to address them, why not?
What's wrong with it? Now, the president now came and spoke after the damage had started. You understand? Now, why they are hammering on the president is that he was the one that made that fuel subsidy removal pronouncement, And after making that fuel subsidy removal pronouncement, it was clear that the government of President Buhari had subsidy in that 2023 budget till June. From July, no more subsidy. If I was President Tinubu, or if I was very close to him to tell him, Mr. President, sir, he would have told Nigerians that
you're president.
Clearly that I am president now, the outgone president made provision till June. Perhaps it was a deliberate thing that President Buhari did. Former President Buhari, why would he have done that? A budget of 2023 and he stopped at the middle.
Right.
You understand?
I think it takes guts when you look at the fuel subsidy issues.
It
takes guts
to
remove it.
Yes. So, because Buhari didn't remove it in 8 years that he served as president, I'm not saying that President Tinubu wouldn't have removed it. He would have told Nigerians that, okay, once I inaugurate the National Assembly, I will do a supplementary budget that will cover the remaining part of 2023 as a strategy. But as a strategy.
Okay.
Now that he's talking about what do you call it now? Minimum wage increment, CNG buses, certain policies that he's put in place in order to cushion the removal of fuel subsidy.
Right.
As fuel subsidy is running from July to December, and he's saying all this, Nigerians have been seeing what he's doing.
But I need to just ask this. Nigerians all voted for somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody who voted for somebody.
Yeah.
Apart from Showore, everybody who contested to be president said, from the very day one, I will remove fuel subsidy.
But
and we all followed them. In these campaigns, we're like, yeah, please do that. There's so much corruption. And here is the president. Anyone will still have done that. We have videos coming up of Kwankwaso saying the same thing. Peter Obi and the rest and all of that. What were Nigerians thinking? Unfortunately, we've really run out of time. So, and for those that are trying to still reach us, I apologize. We can no longer take your calls. We have really run out of time. I'd just like you to give us your closing thoughts on the issue and how Nigeria can, moving forward, deter others from, brandishing or insulting Nigeria in that regard.
I think that people need to be educated. We have talked about one of the key factors that has led to that is ignorance, lack of education. They didn't know the implication of what they were doing. Now, our people need to be educated. If they're not educated, they need to be sensitized. They need the Nigerian National Orientation Agency. All these are agencies of government that are saddled with such responsibility. They should speak to Nigerians in the different geopolitical zones in the language that they will understand. The implications of what they are doing, they don't know, you know. And going forward, what protesters are asking is the hardship, hunger in the land. It is clear, everybody is seeing it, everybody is affected. We saw in Kenya where President Ruto removed subsidy.
And then brought it back.
There was a reason why he brought it back. It is not sign of weakness. When we should not be talking and keep saying we shall. No, what have you done? You know, what have you done? What have you done that is on the ground?
Right now,
you say, okay,
let's see it.
You want to boost agriculture. You are talking about bringing in over 2,000 tractors as a way of boosting agriculture and all that. If you bring tractors, you bring other incentives for farmers to access their farm. Do they have the opportunity to access their farms? Terrorists don't give them space. Bandits don't give them space. These are the challenges that we see that the government needs to tackle so that we can improve food security. We have a president that is Minister of Petroleum Resources. Now, if the ministers don't do right, the National Assembly summons them, right? Now, we cannot summon the president.
Why not?
Because he's president. You know, let him, I want to advise that he should relinquish that portfolio to somebody that can be summoned. You know, why are we failing? A lot of queues now. NNPC is telling us it's logistics problem and all that. How long will we keep hearing that? We saw where Dangote refinery right now. Why are they frustrating him? They spend billions of naira on turnaround maintenance of our refineries. Why can't these refineries work? We've been saying this over and over again. We cannot keep doing the same thing and we expect a different result.
Dr. Steve Okwori, we really have run out of time. So at this point, we would have to draw the curtains on Joy Asanye live show. I see calls are still coming. I apologize. We have run out of time. Join the conversation tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. to 7, to continue what we have been discussing, state of the nation. Have a wonderful and productive and restful evening.